Major things that the 2025 Oscars got horribly wrong.
Margaret Qualley bringing Bond to the Oscars.
The name's Bond. James Bond.
You'd be surprised how much practice and rehearsals can go out the window when the cameras start rolling. Rachel Sennott versus Rachel Ziegler.
We were delirious. It was like a midnight glam call.
Our first flub of the 2025 Oscars arrived early in the evening, courtesy of the broadcast network, ABC. As the red carpet coverage rolled on, a small graphic popped up identifying Rachel Sennott as Rachel Ziegler.
A follow feels pretty direct to me.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
For background, Rachel Sennott, famed for her comedic flair in films like Bodies, 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 and Rachel Ziegler, star of Disney's upcoming Snow White, aren't exactly lookalikes. Yet the name slip on live TV caused a stir.
Is what's crazy.
Sennott posted about the hilarious mis-ID on her Instagram stories, while Ziegler chimed in to note the comedic angle that they share Anne as their middle name. The moment might have ended there, but fans took to social media joking that perhaps a crossover project was in the works. In any case, it was another reminder that even producers in the control room need to keep up with Hollywood's up-and-comers. Bad Bunny or Benny Blanco. Speaking of identity crises, the Academy took the next misstep while posting a behind-the-scenes image to social media. Selena Gomez and her fiancé, Benny Blanco, were captured in a sweet backstage moment. The official Oscars account, though, decided to label Benny as Bad Bunny. Considering that Benny's a totally different artist, best known for his producing hits with artists like Ed Sheeran and Justin Bieber, it was a big whoopsie. Fans swiftly corrected the post, with some sarcastically pointing out that the Academy might need an entire workshop on Music Industry 101. The Academy's staff quickly replaced the post with a corrected caption, but not before the moment had gone viral. If they can't keep track of big names like these, it's no surprise lesser-known industry folks are so often overlooked. Typos in the screenplay nominations. Next up is a more subtle fail, but one that's ironically tied to the writing category. The Oscar for Best Original Screenplay came with a cringe moment, a giant, blown-up excerpt on the screen featuring a glaring grammar slip. Instead of, "Whose story is that?" the displayed text read, "Whose story is that?" Grammar purists cringed en masse. Many online jokes followed along the lines of, "Maybe they needed that script's writer in the editing booth." Considering the category is meant to celebrate well-crafted writing, the irony was as thick as the star power in the room. While social media had a field day, the Academy did not address it beyond quietly changing the digital version of their transcripts later. Lengthy James Bond tribute. The world loves James Bond, or so the producers presumably thought. During the 2025 Oscars, in the middle of the show, we got an extended tribute to everyone's favorite British spy. Amazon Studios recently acquired full rights to the Bond franchise, so what better time to give it a major plug? The medley was star-studded. Margaret Qualley took the stage as the lead dancer, while K-pop sensation Lisa from Blackpink, Doja Cat, and British vocalist Ray performed highlights from classic Bond themes like Live and Let Die and Skyfall. Admirable talent aside, the segment felt oddly shoehorned into the telecast's flow. About 10 minutes in, chatter in the room suggested it was going on too long. Even among fans at home, tweets poured in complaining, "We're here for the Oscars, not the Amazon Bond commercial." In fairness, it's not unusual for the ceremony to incorporate tributes, but perhaps a tighter, more curated approach would have been less draining on a show already notorious for its length. Halle Berry's throwback Oscar kiss with Adrien Brody. Maybe you remember 2003 when Adrien Brody won Best Actor for The Pianist and spontaneously gave Halle Berry, who was presenting him the trophy, a big unsolicited smooch on live television. Fast forward to 2025, Berry decided to reverse roles on the red carpet, planning a playful smooch on Adrien Brody to return the favor. Reactions were swift and divided. Many found it cheeky and satisfying, as Berry had once expressed how surprising that original smooch was. Others, however, felt that recreating an incident that was widely criticized for boundary crossing might not be the best statement. One or two fans joked, "At least she asked, right?" But yes, the conversation around consent and boundaries popped up anew. Did they coordinate this, or was it spur of the moment? We may never get the real story, but it's yet another moment overshadowing the actual film achievements. Goldie Hawn's teleprompter trouble with Andrew Garfield. Goldie Hawn is generally a beloved figure, so it's always jarring when she experiences an onstage faux pas. In 2025, while presenting Best Animated Feature with Andrew Garfield, Hawn launched into a sweet anecdote about how Garfield's performance once brought so much joy to her family. Garfield, touched by her words, started responding with sincere gratitude, until Hawn abruptly cut him off to ask if he could read the teleprompter for her because apparently she couldn't see it from where she stood. Garfield chuckled politely, of course, but it was a bizarre pivot from heartwarming story to, "Wait, can you do my lines?" The entire exchange might have been a comedic bit, but it seemed too clumsy to be planned. People in the audience let out a half laugh, half gasp. Garfield looked like a cat that had been asked to recite Shakespeare mid-bath. Adrien Brody's epically long speech. People might love seeing Adrien Brody on the big screen, but the Academy's producers might not love him hogging the microphone. Nominated, and eventually winning, Best Actor for The Brutalist, Adrien Brody made waves with a speech that ran well past the usual 45-second recommendation. The strangest part? Right before speaking, he spat his gum into Georgina Chapman's hand, which on its own was enough to spark some mild chatter. Then Adrien launched into a monologue about anything and everything. Twice, the orchestra tried nudging him off, softly increasing in volume. Adrien, though, insisted, "Turn the music off. I haven't finished." Then he turned it back into an acceptance, praising his fellow nominees. By about minute 7, watchers at home had long begun tweeting their opinions. He's still going. In the grand pantheon of long Oscar speeches, Adrien Brody's might find a seat among the all-time top 5. Lisa's Bond performance criticism. The Bond tribute included a major cameo from Lisa, the first K-pop star to ever perform at the Oscars. She tackled Live and Let Die in an upbeat, choreographed routine that ended with a surprising pyrotechnic flourish. While many fans from across the globe were cheering, a portion of the audience had doubts about whether Lisa was singing live. Her crisp vocals seemed at odds with the high-intensity dancing, leading some watchers to suspect lip-syncing. Others argued that she's just that good. Regardless, the chatter overshadowed what should have been a proud, groundbreaking moment. It's reminiscent of how big performances at these events always become lightning rods for fans analyzing every vocal glitch or breathing pattern. Still, for Lisa, the bigger story might be that she's now in the record books for crossing another barrier at the Oscars. In Memoriam Snubs. The In Memoriam segment is always a heartfelt tradition, yet it's also consistently a source of public outrage when certain beloved figures are left out. This year, people noticed that the Academy included big names like David Lynch, James Earl Jones, and Donald Sutherland, but ironically omitted Michelle Trachtenberg, who passed away just a few days prior to the ceremony. Also missing were Chance Perdomo, Tony Todd, Alain Delon, Linda Lavin, Tony Roberts, Olivia Hussey, and Martin Mull. Fans online and in the industry used #OscarsForgot to vent frustration. People wonder who oversees the selection and how they keep missing essential individuals. Once the show ended, a standard apology was posted on the Academy's website, noting that they can't include everyone. But the repeated nature of these snubs each year only intensifies the frustration. A complete unknown goes home empty-handed. Biographical films often do well at the Oscars, but not for A Complete Unknown, The Bob Dylan Project. Despite racking up 8 nominations, it walked away with a big fat 0. This mirrors the fate of Elvis 2 years prior, when Austin Butler was expected to triumph. But the movie ended up losing all 8 categories. Timothée Chalamet, who portrayed Bob Dylan, was widely praised, but ultimately lost out to Adrien Brody. The chatter among Bob Dylan fans is that the film deserved at least one technical category, maybe costume or sound. But in a strong field, someone had to go home disappointed, and A Complete Unknown took the unlucky spot as the evening's official shutout. Diane Warren's record-breaking Lost streak. One of the night's low points for music fans was Diane Warren's nominated song, The Journey, from the 688. Once again, Lost, continuing her impressive but sad losing streak. This is her 16th nomination, all of which ended in a polite applause, rather than a triumphant acceptance speech. The winner this time was El Mal from Emilia Perez, by Clément Ducol and singer Camille. If that wasn't enough, the overshadowing fact is that Diane received an honorary Oscar in 2022. Some saw that as the Academy's way of apologizing for never letting her win. But her official losing streak remains ongoing, a record no one wants. Social media was peppered with jokes and sorrowful Justice for Warren threads. It begs the question, at what point does she give up? Or does she keep writing, believing next time's the charm? Kieran Culkin's supporting role mess. Kieran Culkin has become quite the darling in recent years, especially following Succession. This year, he took home the Oscar for Best Supporting Actor for A Real Pain. But tons of people insisted Kieran was basically a co-lead. Critics had predicted he'd land a lead actor nod, so seeing him pop into the supporting category was suspiciously reminiscent of category fraud, where studios angle star roles into supporting categories for better odds. Sure enough, the internet lit up with fans claiming Kieran overshadowed the entire film. So how is he supporting? It's a question the Academy has wrestled with for decades. For instance, Edward Norton was in the same category for A Complete Unknown, even though he arguably had less screen time than Kieran. In the end, Kieran's acceptance speech was sweet and comedic, though he took a random dig at Adrian Brody, leaving watchers divided. Is it a rightful win or a cunning example of politicking? What did you guys think of my list? Let me know in the comments, and I hope you have a great day.